The latest now on this weekend's deadly mass shootings in El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio. In El Paso, the death toll has climbed to 22 in an attack inside a Walmart store.
26 others were hurt. Officials are calling this a case of domestic terrorism. Police say the 21-year-old gunman, Patrick Crusius, allegedly posted a racist anti-immigrant manifesto on a message board just before the shooting rampage.
Authorities say he drove 10 hours to get to the Walmart in a city that is 80% Latino and is at the center of a national debate on immigration.
And the first thing I saw was the guy walk through the door, distinctively remembering what he was wearing. He was wearing black shades, black t-shirt, and Air Pro, we call it. It's like headphones you use for the range. And I also remember him smirking as he raised the gun towards me in the store.
The suspected shooter's family expressed remorse through a family spokesperson today. Crusius has been charged with capital murder. The Justice Department is considering whether to bring hate crime charges against him as well.
Meanwhile, the city of Dayton, Ohio is also in mourning tonight. 9 people were killed, at least 27 others wounded when a gunman opened fire outside a popular nightlife area.
24-year-old Connor Betts traveled to Dayton along with his sister, who is among the dead. Police say he used an AR-15 style rifle modified to function like an assault rifle.
That's the most difficult thing with any shooting, is why. And I don't believe we'll ever have a definitive answer, and that's something that we're all going to have to live with.
And President Trump addressed the shootings today, calling for the death penalty for people who commit hate crimes and mass murders. He also stressed combating mental illness over new gun laws, saying mental illness and hatred pulled the trigger, not the gun.
And back here at home, Governor Raimondo says she's been in touch with the EMA, National Guard, and state police, who are taking extra precaution in light of these shootings, keeping an eye out for copycats.
Eyewitness News reporter Kim Kalunian is live in Providence with what else the governor and state officials are saying in the wake of these shootings. Kim?
Well, Stephen Shannon, in our sit down with the governor earlier today, she did not mince words about her feelings about this past weekend's shootings and her frustration with local legislative leaders about how they handled her gun control proposals last session.
It's just horrible.
Governor Gina Raimondo says the frequency of mass shootings in America has not diminished their horror, but she is wondering how many more will die before Rhode Island lawmakers take up several gun control bills she supports.
What's it going to take before we get together and do what we know will save lives?
Last session, Raimondo advocated for a trio of bills that would have banned so-called assault-style weapons, prohibited high-capacity magazines, and outlawed guns on school grounds with some exceptions. None of the bills made it out of committee.
I bet you, this is a horrible thing to say, I bet, God forbid, if there were a shooting of that kind in Rhode Island, finally the General Assembly would do the right thing. Why do we have to wait for that?
Not everyone sees eye to eye with Raimondo. Gun rights activists flooded the State House multiple times this year, saying the bills would not succeed in keeping guns out of the hands of criminals and would only impede on law-abiding gun owners' Second Amendment rights. In a statement, House Speaker Nicholas Mattiello and Senate President Dominic Ruggerio highlighted laws passed in recent years to ban bump stocks, take guns away from domestic abusers, and enact the so-called red flag bill, saying, quote, Rhode Island's gun control laws are among the strongest in the country. Over the past 2 sessions, the General Assembly has passed several laws that have made it even more difficult for those that pose a danger to the community to obtain firearms. And the governor says she's not looking to take guns away from law-abiding citizens, but she does want to outlaw those specific types of weapons. Now, coming up new at 6, we'll have the governor's reaction to President Trump's proposal to implement the death penalty for those who commit hate crimes and mass murders. We'll have that new next hour. For now, reporting live from the State House, I'm Kim Kalunian, Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News reporter Kim Kalunian spoke to Rhode Island Governor Gina Raimondo about the tragedies and what she thinks needs to be done to save lives. Kim?
Well, Steve, the governor tells me that she's saddened by yet another spate of violence, but she's also angry and frustrated that her gun control bills are still not laws. In the wake of 2 deadly shootings, Governor Gina Raimondo lamenting the fate of a trio of gun control bills that failed to gain traction last session.
What's it going to take before we get together and do what we know will save lives?
The bills sought to ban so-called assault-style weapons, prohibit high-capacity magazines, and outlaw guns on school grounds with some exceptions. None of the bills made it out of committee.
I bet, God forbid, if there were a shooting of that kind in Rhode Island, finally the General Assembly would do the right thing. Why do we have to wait for that?
In a statement, House Speaker Nicholas Mattiello and Senate President Dominic Ruggerio said in part, quote, Rhode Island's gun control laws are among the strongest in the country. Over the past 2 sessions, the General Assembly has passed several laws that have made it even more difficult for those that pose a danger to the community to obtain firearms. Meanwhile, in light of this weekend's tragedies, President Donald Trump proposed the death penalty for those who commit hate crimes and mass murders. Raimondo says she is not on board.
I don't think it will do anything to reduce the amount of racism in America. You know, if the president is interested to reduce racism in America, he could show that through his actions and his words, which he doesn't do.
And when it comes to gun control, Raimondo says she will continue to advocate for reforms in the new legislative session. Reporting live at the State House tonight, I'm Kim Kalunian, Eyewitness News.